risk taker. So when I really took this risk and was like, I'm doing this full time, that was the best decision I ever made in my life.
Life's a short and precious thing, sweet like honey, and it sure can sting, sure can sting.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of the She Dreams in Color video series. And to say that I'm elated to have this guest here is an understatement because, God, I always get choked up. I feel so goofy. I really am honored to have LaDara McKinnon actually be here to do an interview and share her story because LaDara has been a part of Sunshine Media Network since we occupied this space, and she's made it a more beautiful space. And when I had the vision, LaDara, to bring She Dreams in Color to life, you were the one who created this mural behind us that really got it out of my head and onto something tangible and really brought it to life for us. So thank you so much for believing in me and hearing me and seeing me and now creating all of this magic for us. And now you're here to share your story.
Well, thank you so much. You're welcome. It was a pleasure. I absolutely love creating for you. So
thank you. And somehow you get the chaos of my energy and my brain and my creativity and what I see She Dreams in Color being. You got that out of me and onto canvas. So clearly being a fine artist is your calling.
yes, it is. I've always wanted to be an artist. So ever since I was little, so I was able to pursue it, working in the different industries and going full time. So I'm really excited about that.
And I love the phrase that you use for your occupation because She Dreams in Color is about focusing on occupations and obstacles. But occupation in the sense that we want to show young girls and women all the different jobs that are out there available to them. And you call yourself an art entrepreneur. Yeah. Why do you use that phrase?
I use that phrase because people think like, there's like the starving artists and, there's all the stereotypes out there. And really it's like running an art business is like running a business. Like you have admin and you have emails you have to answer. You have to meet clients. It's the same as any other business. So it just happens to be art instead of a different product or service.
And for some reason, people don't treat artists as experts or as a real job.
Yes.
Have you experienced that in your journey?
Yes, I think from the beginning, what kind of threw me off from becoming an artist right out of high school is because, I grew up in a military family, so it is very important to get a job and make sure you're making money and all of the things. And so at that point, I was more of like, it's not a real job to be an artist. So I went into doing accounting, and that was, it was difficult, but I think it kind of paid off because, I have finances now for my business.
So many people have sat in this chair and said the same thing, both points that you just made. Number one, they took the safe job that they were supposed to. And number two, that safe job they were supposed to do has paid off in the now job that they're called to do. So the accounting part, you've got that part done for entrepreneurs. And I was always an entrepreneur who was like, numbers, taxes, messy.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of didn't look at it. But you were able to incorporate that knowledge into establishing a foundation, which helps have a successful business.
I always did customer service jobs, and once I was like, you know what, I don't want to do customer service anymore. I want to work in the actual art industry. That really helped working for different organizations that I was in the art industry. So I learned more about what people want and what, like how to, like the needs of art, and not necessarily like, oh, there's just a painting. And it's like, it's actually a need. It's very needed in different industries.
Yeah. Well, obviously, this piece set off a trajectory of ideas, and this piece really set off an explosion of progress because She Dreams in Color was an idea for 6 years before it started to really come to fruition. And your art, that thing that we could look at and see every day and be inspired by, helped motivate us.
Yes.
But what else have you seen your art do for people? Because I know they tell you.
So when it comes to homes and residentials, that art is, I'm telling the stories of the women. When I'm talking to the women, they tell me their stories of what they've been through. I think it's the triumph that I am inspired from, and they tell their stories to me, like when we get on our one-on-one call, and it just inspires me to tell their story with colors and brushstrokes. And for corporate and more small businesses, it is really transforming their whole entire space and welcoming their clients into their business.
Okay, when you're an accountant and you are doing accounting-y things, were you feeling some emptiness that this job is not it? Or how did you find your way into making art a full-time job?
So I was going to college for accounting, and then I was working in customer service to get me through college. So the transition was my partner saw me drawing, and they were like, "Hey, you should take an art class." And I was like, "I've always done art, not taking it serious." So, and then I did, and that was in 2013. It was in 2013, and that summer, and like I've been doing arts ever since then. So I have I've always been artistic inclined, so it was like it only just nurtured and gave me technique of what I've already had.
Did you start taking art classes? Did you start with one class?
In college, yeah. I was taking college classes, so I had like a full semester of 3 or 4 classes, and then to major in, I changed my major, so I
From
ended up
accounting to art?
yes, yeah. So I did fine art, and um, the whole thing is like it was hard for the academic part of it for me. So the art classes, it was cool. I was breezing through them, and then I moved to Charlotte to actually get the bachelor's degree instead of my associates. So I ended up getting like 2 associate degree, and then was like, okay, let's get the bachelor's degree and see where it goes. And then after that, it was like, I ended up stop working customer service, and I ended up being like, I'm just gonna try it and see if anyone hires me. And like I ended up getting like 2 jobs. They were both for part time. They didn't feel part time. So yeah, that's how I ended up like getting into working in the art and taking my art full time. However, I didn't work on my art for a very long time. I always experimented, and that's one thing that I feel like helped me a lot was experimenting with all different types of mediums, picking what felt good. Like I do clay, installations, all this stuff, but it was always paint that really, I never painted before. That was the whole thing. So
You said something I think a lot of people experience. You had 2 jobs in the art world, right? But you weren't working on your art. And
yes.
so we find that we get to the point where we say, I need to start building my brand. I need to start knowing who I am and building my wealth in this business. So when did you start to see you were giving away all your goods to the 2 jobs in art?
I ended up going to study abroad in 2018, that summer, and they were very supportive in Ireland. I think everyone should go to Ireland because they're very welcoming. They're amazing there. And when I was there, I was just immersed in art. It wasn't like, oh, I got to stop and go to work and I have to do this, I have to clean, it was just focusing on that one thing. And that really, when I came back, I was just like, I'm an artist. I think it was like that. It was really me affirming that. And I came back. I was actually with one of my instructors that was amazing. Her name is Alex. We were taking classes, and she is one of the big inspirations that has helped me with almost everything. And she like believed in me, she nurtured me, and she like pushed me, which I always need to be pushed to be like, okay, that's great, but what's better? Because it's like whenever I've done art, I've always been great at it. So it was just like, okay, this is great, but I've never been able to be like, no one's ever been able to like push me. And she did that, and she was just like, do it. Like, she's like, you need to do residencies, you need to do your art. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I ended up leaving. At that point in time in 2018, I was working 3 different jobs for art, all of them part time, but like it took up so much energy. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let one of these go. I was like, I was gonna do Fem Fest. That was like the last Fem Fest it was. But the thing is about Fem Fest, I still have some of those clients today. Like, still commissioning me, still supporting me. And when I did that Fem Fest, it was really like, you know what, you can do this. And so that's when I really, like that summer, I reached out to different daycares. I started making my own art, and I was doing landscapes at that time. And I had mostly male clients, and so they're just like, oh, I don't know, whatever you want to do. And I was like, okay, great.
When did you make the transition to being a magnet for women and kind of a vehicle for their message and their journey?
It's because I love working with women and telling their stories, and I feel like They're very comfortable with me, and I guess I'm just a listener. So I don't like to talk a lot. So with them, I started working with women clients in probably 2019. That's when I was focusing on the home and marketing my art to the home. And women love their house looking amazing. So I started like they started talking to me more. I started talking to them and reaching out to different, women entrepreneurs, different other businesses. And in January of 2020, I quit all my jobs and I took it full time. I focused mainly on women and they trust me. And um, yeah, I had switched to abstract art in 2019 as well, like late 2019. I was like, I really am sick of the landscapes. I'm sick of the portraits. Like, I just want to express myself. So when I started doing abstract, that made me feel something. And that is what I was like, I always want to feel that. And then it was feeling like more of, if I can do that for myself, I can do that for other women.
So you're feeling great. It's January 2020. We were all feeling amazing in
Yes.
January 2020. And then March 2020
Yes.
changed everything. What was the year of COVID, deep COVID, like for you as you just leapt into entrepreneurship full time?
For me, I never had a moment. I'm a busybody. I like to work. I'm a workaholic. Like, well, I guess I'm a recovering workaholic. So my whole point is that was actually time for me to stop, like, and just focus on, hey, I'm gonna create. Like, that's what I want to do. So I just started creating. I nurtured my audience. My whole point is when it comes to my art, I create for me, but like my clients mean the world to me. Like I want my art is for people. It's not for me. That's how I feel. And then there's a portion of art that's just for me that I don't sell. So for me, that time was creating a body of work, connecting with people and how they were feeling and what they were going through. And then people just started popping up with me and like, this is so inspiring. I love seeing this every day. My community is amazing. My clients are amazing. So they are always rooting me on. So the whole point is like, I wanted to tell their story. So I love doing commissions just because I get that one-on-one. I get to have that connection with people. I love that personal feel of businesses. So like when businesses are really dry, I get really like, I don't know if I want to do this with people.
Yeah.
So I have to have a personal connection. Also, I'm very much an introvert, so I have to have deeper conversations with people to continue to connect with them. And I guess like you're gonna like listen.
Well, I can imagine since you put so much of yourself into art, into your work, you want to really believe in the work you're doing for the person you're doing it for. A big piece of you is here.
Mm-hmm.
Another piece of you is here. Like, you're on the candles that we give women. A little portion of you and your essence is in our space. I can imagine you want to make sure it's where you want to be.
Yes, absolutely. And I want people to be inspired every single day. Like, I want people to always, my clients always discover something new. Like, I don't want to be like, okay, it's a fad kind of, and I'm just going to get a new piece of art. I want this to be meaningful. That's all I want it to be boundless. Like, you are drawn to it, you're in it, like, it's you. And you want to pass it down to your family. And the families I work with, like, I include their kids. Like, this color or these marks are a representation of this child or that child. So yeah, I really feel like their stories are, and the thing is when I create, I try to put myself in their shoes. Like I was working with one of my clients. She's been through a lot. Like she's battled breast cancer. After that, it's like all these tribes and um you I wanted to show her journey through that, but actually show them where they're at right now and also their future. And I was like, you know what? Our story, like we're talking, I'm just like, it's getting a little dark and I love our story. But I was like, if y'all can go anywhere in the world and just money wasn't a problem, all the issues you guys have been through, like where would you go? And she's like, oh, I want to go such and such. And I was like, okay, great. I was like, we're using those colors, but I'm going to tell your story through the movement, the different brushstrokes, the textures, and their art.
It really is so beautiful. There is not a moment I don't look over here and just feel complete joy and complete happiness and energy. And everyone who's come in here has said the same thing. So
Oh.
it must be honest if it shows up that way for other people. So as you have found yourself in this space of fine art, what obstacle has really been the one that you've had to focus on and intentionally overcome or go through?
Mine was always finding a community. Like, I thrive with a community. I don't need a huge community. My thing is, like, I need, like, my people. And so it was so hard to find my people early on, especially in 2018. There wasn't a lot of, you know, black artists that were doing abstract. And, I had to go on Instagram to find people that were doing that. And also, like, I try to bond with people locally, but really I had to bond with business owners because I guess they understood me, but they also can relate. I think with artists, a lot of us are very introverted, and there's always something. Excuse me. There's always something that happens. Like there's always like a friction or something, so it's very hard to connect with a lot of different artists. And for me, I'm very introverted, so it's like we I I don't go to a lot of events and stuff, and that's how you meet people.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my biggest problem was finding community. And I think to today, my community are some of my collectors. It's like I talk to them all the time. We're messaging through Instagram. We check up on each other. And I love the connection that I have made with all these different women. And yeah, most of them are women owned businesses, women that are just trying to support other women.
You are the second or third person who said, I'm in an industry. I had a hard time finding colleagues in my industry who embraced me, who supported me, who could be role models, who could show me the ropes, be a friend, especially people who are like us, and then even more so people who are not like us. It can be, you can have that friction with someone who thinks, well, we're in direct competition because we are the same type of woman in the same space. And then there can be, I imagine, a lot of emptiness if you don't look like other people in that space, in the fine art community in Charlotte, which is your immediate, network of people.
Yes.
So I am glad that you had social media to connect and find some other fine artists and some other artists maybe in different types of work
Yes.
to support you. Why was that community important though? Where does that need come from?
I don't want to be alone. I think people can be beneficial to each other. And sometimes people feel like, I'm the only one that's struggling with painting or starting or imposter syndrome. And it's like, if you have someone you can call and talk to, they can actually like help you through that.
Where do you see your art career going? Do you have a vision for yourself, or are you just taking it one day at a time? What kind of person are you in that space?
I would say both. Like sometimes I take it one day at a time with no expectations, giving myself grace and just being like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, that's okay. And I also feel like I do have dreams of having my art everywhere. Like I want a stationery line maybe in the next 5 years, like or less. Um, and I want to have my art worldwide. I want my art on billboards, and I just see my art being everywhere. I feel like my art is a little bit for everyone. Like, who doesn't need some inspiration, and who doesn't want to feel happiness or joy or, like a little spunk or a little pop, like a little pop of color, really. So,
What was the support like in your family or in your personal life? You said that your partner supported you and they encouraged you to pursue the interest of art. What other support did you have in your family, or what was that network like for you?
I didn't really tell my parents when I went full time. They knew I was working in the art industry, but they thought that I still had a job. They're like, "Oh, how's work?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's great."
Oh
Like
my God, this is a Lifetime movie.
yeah, like this is January of 2020, and I'm just like, yeah, you know, work is great. So I think after a while, I started. I think when I got my LLC and like really got my LLC and like cracked down on that stuff. Like my dad's a number person. He's a realist, so he's like, okay, I need to know. So I was like, I'm taking my art full time. I haven't. I've been financially stable. This is the most stable I've ever been in my life. Like even on my own, it's like I don't need my partner's income. And I can take responsibility for that. And I think that's one thing. Like when I was younger, I was always very independent. I worked a lot. I bought my own first car. I got my own apartment. Like all of that on my own. So I really wanted that feeling for myself again of that independence. Um, and he was like, okay. Like, he was like, I love your art. I love it. And, he was very supportive with it. And he was like, if you ever need any help, let me know. And my dad's very a person of little words. If he says something, he means it. And I think for my mom, she's just like, okay, that's great. Are you working or like I don't know, I do feel like my mom has a little ways to go, like she to know that like this is it, like this is what I'm doing. Because I think sometimes the question comes up of like how's work, and when do you have to go to work, so because I used to work all the time, so it's always be like I'm on a run, hey, 5 minute call here, and then you're gone. So that's how the support has been. My partner is extremely supportive for me. you know they help with the copy, they help with the business side. I'm a person that I could talk a lot, but I need to get to the nitty gritty of what I'm saying. And they do that for me. They help with that.
Sometimes we hear a lot of stories of the opposite, of
Yeah.
a partner who's holding you back and
Yes,
you
I will
know.
agree.
So it's wonderful to have that.
I do think for my partner, I think they were trying to push me before I was ready. So my thing is like I'm very like headstrong, so it's like if I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. So they were just like you could have your art here and you could do this and this and that. And it's like whenever I came around and was like, like I'm a researcher as well, like that's how I want my clients. So um I had to research, I had to take courses, I had to make sure I was ready for this because I don't like to go in there unprepared. I like to be prepared at all times. So you can't control everything, but I like to be, try to be on point with things. So
Sure.
when I came around, I was like, this is what I want to do. Like this is it. And they're like, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you feel now that you are clearly successful? This is clearly your field, your passion, your job. How do you feel now, you know, being representative in your community and being I am a fine artist. How does that feel today?
It feels amazing. Like I feel more confident doing anything that I want to do. Like I feel like this is what I supposed to have been doing. And it's like, I used to hear success stories and I was like, oh, I wish I would have done this early. And I wish, and it's just like, I know that feeling now. I wish that I would have done this when, even when I wasn't ready. And, I feel like that time, I think even being in that grind of not being ready, and it's like some opportunities I get, like I have a commission for a hospital. I was like, that's a huge piece. Like I don't, and I was just like, what, just jump into it and just do it. So I really hope that I really wish that I would have just done it and just took that risk. I'm not really a risk taker. So when I really took this risk and was like, I'm doing this full time, it was the best decision I ever made in my life. So yeah.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. But another thing that women are consistently telling us is it has to come in its time.
Yeah.
It has to come in its time. The important thing is that you're reminding other people, take the risk, go for it. You can do it. There's no failure because you've proven it. You've proven it to yourself.
Ooh, I will.
Is there failure? Is that?
I think there is failure. Like I don't like to sugarcoat things. Has been hard. It is one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it is well worth it. I feel like, when you shoot your shot at, different opportunities stuff, you get rejection. There's always going to be rejection. Also, the whole thing about taking that risk and like taking the leap, what's really important with that is that you have to be ready. You have to know your worth and be confident in what you're doing. So that I feel like it's like, yes, taking a risk, but you have to have like those things in your back pocket knowing like just because I get that one no, I'm not gonna quit tomorrow. You have to have confidence. Like, I know I bring value. I'm going to find somebody else.
It's really important also to have people around you who are helping in those no's, are helping in those uncertainties with dialogue that can redirect you, to focus on the good and know your value. Because it can be difficult when you get a rejection and then someone in your circle's like, I have a friend who has a job uptown at the bank.
Yeah.
You don't always need that kind of advice. You need someone who's going to say, this is a long game.
Yes. And I really feel like it's like I feel like I have artists that contact me for like mentorship and stuff like that. And they're like, "Oh, how'd you do this? And how do you have such a supportive community?" I don't have a huge community that's very supportive, but I have a great community that will say my name everywhere and recommend me to whoever. If you need art, LaDara can do that. Oh, you need a mural, LaDara can do that. Oh, your home is beautiful. It would be great. LaDara's art here. So, I have those people that will do that.
And that's a really good thing to expand on, because we are in a world of, I need more likes, I need more friends, I need more followers, I need more people, more clicks. You just said you don't have a big community, but you have a very loyal community.
Yes.
And that, I think we lose sight of that these days.
But you have to nurture that community that has been there from day one, and that's what I've done. I have clients from when I started in 2018. I have clients like when I first moved to Charlotte in like 2015. I have a 2016 client that I still work with before I even was doing anything I was doing now, but they're just like, I absolutely love that. Like, you do that. And, that conversation with some of my clients, I think it's the conversation I have with my collectors is that they know I'm a genuine person. It's like what you see is what you get. I'm not putting on a front for anybody. And, this is just how I am.
I believe we all are called to do something. And when we see someone walking in that calling and that light shining on them, it comes through their work, whatever that work is. We just happen to use paint for yours and canvases for yours.
Yeah.
But whether it's accounting or womb healing or life coaching or therapist, it doesn't matter. When that person is walking in that calling, people are just attracted to that magic. It's magic. It really is.
I definitely believe when you know it's your purpose, this is your passion, that's what you were called to do. Like, I believe God blessed me with this a long time ago, and I had to embrace that and do that and be in it. And I feel like it always kept on coming back to me. I feel like God has guided me through this whole thing. I pray about it. If it's meant to be, God will make it happen. But I also do have a plan and expectations for myself. And I really feel like living in my purpose, it drives me and it pushes me. And I feel like, my partner's always like, everything you touch to gold, everything you touch turns to gold. And I was like, yeah, but, I don't think so. And it's like, it's true, but I don't take that for granted because I know that, like, I'm living in my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And at the end of the day, like, this is what I'm going to do. I don't plan on going back to a job because if this doesn't work, it's going to work. Like, I don't have a plan B. Like, this is it.
Thank you so much for sharing all of this. I truly love having you in my office every single day. We walk in here in the morning and every woman who has been here really feels inspired to just shine. And that's what we do as a company and as a purpose. And I appreciate you for being a part of that.
Thank you so much. I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for letting me share my story. I'm glad that I can be a part of this and see your vision come to life. So thank you.
With every interview we do here on the She Dreams in Color video series, we like to have a t-shirt that uplifts and amplifies the woman's obstacle or occupation. And for today, we have this shirt from Solidarity and Company that says respect, empower, and include. Because LaDara talked about not feeling a sense of community and not feeling welcome in the fine art community. And perhaps if someone respected, empowered, and included her, that would have happened sooner in her journey. Now, Solidarity and Company is a Charlotte-based business, and Mo, the founder, is a Black lesbian creative who was inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement to start their t-shirt line. And they're also motivated by their passion to really advocate for others. Check out that website.
It's our turn. Won't let it burn. It's our turn.